Sasmit Patra, 10 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Vice Chairperson, ma'am. I rise on behalf of our leader, Shri Naveen Patnaik ji and the Biju Janata Dal, to scrutinize two of the most consequential pieces of legislation in our fiscal calendar, the Finance Bill 2025 and the Appropriation number 3 Bill 2025. These are not mere financial documents, they are blueprints that define the economic, social and developmental trajectory of our nation. They shape governance, determine the contours of our federal structure, and most importantly, impact the aspirations of our people and our states. As we debate the Finance Bill and the Appropriation Bill, I rise to bring forth the genuine, long-pending and deeply justified demands of my state, Odisha, which has been consistently overlooked despite their significance to the state's economic, social and infrastructural growth. First and foremost, I demand that Odisha be granted special category status. For decades, Odisha has suffered from frequent natural calamities, cyclones, floods and droughts, crippling economic progress and placing an unbearable burden on our limited resources. Despite demonstrating fiscal prudence and maintaining a revenue surplus, Odisha has been denied its rightful recognition as a special category state. This status would ensure higher central assistance, tax concessions, and greater financial flexibility to address the unique developmental challenges that Odisha faces. The people of Odisha demand that this unfulfilled promise be met with immediate action. Further, rising prices and inflation have disproportionately burdened the common man. The prices of essential commodities, food, fuel, and daily necessities have skyrocketed, pushing lakhs of families into economic distress. The government must take urgent steps to curb inflation through fiscal intervention, including GST rationalization on essential goods and stronger price stabilization mechanisms. The crisis of high unemployment and rising joblessness further accentuates the economic strain. Ma'am, Honourable, the coal royalty and the green tax reforms are another expressing concern. Odisha contributes significantly to the nation's coal production, yet districts like Sundargarh, Angul and others receive minimal revenue in return. The centre must consider to increase coal royalty rates and ensure a green tax is imposed on mining companies to compensate for environmental degradation and provide funds for local area development. The current cess and royalty structures must be revised in Odisha's favour, ensuring that the wealth extracted from Odisha contributes to its own progress. These have been long-standing demands of our leader, Shri Naveen Patnaik ji, when he was the Chief Minister and even now as the President of the Biju Janata Dal. The state's infrastructure, particularly in road and rail connectivity, requires urgent attention. Several national highway and coastal highway projects remain incomplete or underfunded, severely affecting trade, tourism and connectivity. The centre must allocate sufficient funds for the completion of all pending national highway projects and fast-track the coastal highway, which is crucial for Odisha's maritime progress. The glaring healthcare disparity in Odisha is evident in the lack of AIIMS facilities beyond Bhubaneswar. AIIMS hospitals must be immediately established in Sambalpur, Koraput and Balasore to cater to underserved regions. The need for tertiary healthcare in these areas is immense, and budgetary allocations must reflect this necessity. The upliftment of Odisha's tribal communities must be prioritized. The GST imposed on Kendu leaf, a primary source of livelihood for tribal families, must be immediately withdrawn to ensure their economic security. Railway connectivity in Odisha remains subpar, below the state's immense contribution to railway revenues. The centre must allocate sufficient funds for railway line expansion, modernization in Odisha to cater to increasing passenger and freight traffic. Banking, mobile connectivity and digital connectivity, especially in rural and tribal areas, continues to be a major problem. The digital divide must be addressed with urgent allocations for broadband expansion, mobile connectivity, etc. Honourable Vice Chairperson, ma'am, now I come to the national perspective. I come to the federal aspect of the Finance Bill and the Appropriation Bill. My simple question is, where is the promise of fiscal devolution? The Finance Bill 2025 must be scrutinized through the lens of equity. The devolution formula remains skewed against progressive states that have successfully controlled population growth and enhanced their tax collections. Instead of incentivizing fiscal discipline, this approach penalizes high-performing states. The principle of one nation, one tax must not translate into one nation, unequal growth. Consider the allocation of central funds for flagship schemes. States are required to contribute a significant portion of their funds for centrally sponsored schemes, yet have very little say in policy formulation. The union government decides the framework, the guidelines and priorities, often disregarding the specific needs of individual states. The GST regime was envisioned as a grand bargain between the centre and the states, but bargain has increasingly tilted in favour of the centre. Cess and surcharges, which are not part of the divisible pool, have been disproportionately increased, denying states their rightful share of revenue. Is the centre treating states as equal partners in India's journey, or merely as administrative units? The people of this country do not merely want allocation numbers. They want to see real change on the ground. They want a budget that rewards fiscal responsibility among states, yet one that should not penalize them. A taxation system that empowers states, not one that erodes their autonomy. A cooperative federalism model where states are true partners, not mere recipients of dictated policies. I have a few actionable recommendations for strengthening the fiscal federalism. 1. Reduce cesses and surcharges. Bring all revenue collections under the divisible pool so that states receive their rightful share. 2. Revisit the Finance Commission criteria. Presently, the Finance Commission is going through the process. Ensure that progressive states are not penalized for better governance and lower population growth. 3. Strengthen direct transfers to states by reducing bureaucratic interference in fund allocation and allow states more discretion over central funds. 4. Enhance state autonomy in centrally sponsored schemes by allowing states greater flexibility in designing and implementing centrally funded programs. 5. Increase disaster relief funds for states. Ensure timely and adequate disbursement of NDRF funds, especially for disaster-prone states like Odisha. And 6. Implement a transparent fiscal monitoring system. Ensure real-time monitoring on fund flows to state to prevent delays and bottlenecks. I've got another 2 minutes and I come towards my conclusion. A nation as vast and diverse as India cannot be governed through a one-size-fits-all economic model. Federalism is not just a constitutional principle, this is the bedrock of our governance, the guarantee of our unity in diversity, and the true test of our democracy. Yet year after year, our financial architecture remains increasingly centralized, with states left to struggle for their rightful dues, for fiscal autonomy, and for the resources they need to serve the people. The Finance Bill and Appropriation Bill are not mere legislative formalities. They define the financial sovereignty of our states, the extent of their agency, and the depth of our cooperative federalism. Today, the stark reality is that states generate the bulk of India's economic activity, yet they remain dependent on the union for their rightful share of revenues. Whether it is the shrinking devolution of taxes, the discretionary nature of grants, or the increasing burden of centrally sponsored schemes with rigid conditions, the balance of fiscal power tilts disproportionately towards the centre. This is neither sustainable nor just. If India is to realize its economic potential, its states must be financially empowered, not weakened. The budget must not be seen as an account of expenditures. It should be seen as a test of our commitment to genuine fiscal federalism. Let it not be said that the government centralizes power but decentralizes responsibility. Let it not be written in history that we spoke for cooperative federalism but did not get it. Instead, let this House send a resounding message that India's progress depends on empowering its states. The spirit of federalism is non-negotiable, and the economic justice begins with fiscal justice. With these words, I urge the government to ensure fair devolution, to uphold the rights of the states, and to truly honour the federal spirit of our constitution. Because only when our states are financially strong, states like Odisha, which has been contributing so much to the central exchequer, when such states are taken care of, given their rightful dues, only then our nation will be truly strong. I thank you, ma'am.
Sri